You've all probably heard of the Strait of Hormuz, a stretch of sea barely 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, which holds the entire global economy hostage. Every day, about 20% of all the oil consumed on the planet passes through here, a true geopolitical bottleneck now closed by Iran to make the global economy tremble. But what would happen if there was a way to bypass this nightmare? Today, we tell you about what is perhaps the most audacious, crazy, and expensive engineering plan in modern history. A megaproject worth over $100 billion to dig an artificial canal capable of letting supertankers pass, literally through the mountains. To understand why anyone today would be willing to spend $100 billion to move mountains of rock, we need to look at the map of the current conflict. The Persian Gulf is a sort of gigantic salt lake with only one exit. On one side is Iran, on the other, Oman and the United Arab Emirates, ironclad allies of Washington. Until a few days ago, this was the jugular of global energy, with 21 million barrels of oil in transit every day. Today, Iran has seeded these waters with mines and put them under the crossfire of its own artillery, transforming the most important oil route in the world into an active war zone. When Western media talk about the crisis in Hormuz, they immediately show us the Wall Street Stock Exchange in the red or gas station prices in Europe skyrocketing. But the harsh geopolitical truth is another. America is today the largest oil producer in the world, and all things considered, would survive a physical blockade. Europe would suffer a devastating inflationary blow, but it has heavily diversified its sources. The real victims are located in Asia. Over 80% of the oil leaving the Strait of Hormuz goes straight to Asian markets. For them, it's not a question of prices. It's a question of physical survival. Every great nation maintains emergency reserves. But how long will they last? Let's start with the giant, China. Beijing imports about 70% of its oil, and almost half passes through the Gulf. In recent years, foreseeing war scenarios, China has accumulated colossal stockpiles. The exact data are state secrets, but analysts estimate that their strategic reserves combined with commercial ones could last between 90 and 120 days. Then we have Japan and South Korea. Both import practically 100% of their needs, but they are also the most paranoid and prepared countries in the world. Being members of the International Energy Agency, they are obliged to hold at least 90 days of stockpiles, but Tokyo and Seoul abundantly exceed the threshold, managing to cover between 150 and 200 days of national consumption. But there is a weak link in this chain, and it's gigantic: India. India is the most populous nation on Earth, and its economy is growing at a frantic pace, devouring energy. It depends on imports for 85%, largely precisely from the Middle East. And yet, New Delhi's strategic stockpiles are dramatically low. Pure state reserves would last barely 7 to 10 days. Adding commercial stocks and private refinery depots, India has an estimated total autonomy of about 70 to 74 days. When the Asian giants panic, they will start buying all the available oil in the rest of the world. In Africa, in America, in the North Sea, at any price, unleashing a bidding war that would bring Europe and America to their knees in a few days, pushing the barrel to $200 or $300. That's why, when talking about spending $100 or $300 billion to dig through a mountain and avoid Hormuz, for many governments, it is no longer a crazy project. The worst nightmare of the global economy has become reality. With the direct clash between Washington and Tehran, the planet's most important energy artery is a restricted area. Trillions of dollars are literally burning. For the Gulf allies and for the West, current alternatives seem dramatically insufficient. And right in these hours of total crisis, in the salons of geopolitics, an extreme, almost mythological idea has started circulating again. If Hormuz is a trap, let's create a new sea. The concept: dig a colossal artificial canal to connect the oil wells directly to the Gulf of Oman. The idea was to let supertankers enter the Indian Ocean under the American defensive shield, completely bypassing the range of Iranian missiles. But there's a problem. It's pure science fiction. Between the Persian Gulf and safe waters rises the Al-Hajar mountain range, with peaks exceeding 2,000 meters. To sail a fully loaded 300-meter-long supertanker, you need a canal at least 40 meters deep. Cutting such a mountain in two would require moving a volume of rock dozens of times greater than that of the Panama Canal. Physically and financially impossible. Therefore, the real solution to bypass the trap we find ourselves in today was not to change the face of the earth, but to cross it. This is why the United Arab Emirates built the Habshan-Fujairah pipeline. 380 kilometers of steel pipes that climb over the Al Hajar Mountains and pump millions of barrels a day directly to Fujairah, beyond the strait, straight into the ocean. Sure, in a modern war, a pipeline running through the desert is an exposed target for suicide drones and long-range missiles. But military logistics speak clearly. If a missile hits a pipe, you repair it in a few weeks. If it destroys the locks of an artificial mega canal, you've lost a multi-hundred-billion-dollar piece of infrastructure. Pipes can be doubled, hidden, and defended with Patriot batteries much more easily than an artificial sea. A construction site like that would take decades, cost a fraction of the global GDP, and be a massive, immobile, and indefensible target, visible even from space. Today, the strait is closed. The flow is interrupted. The network of terrestrial pipes, so it does what it can, but it is not enough to quench the energy hunger of Asia and Europe. While the cannons continue to roar, the true lesson of this conflict stands out on the horizon. The architecture upon which the modern world rests is as fragile as glass. And the definitive solution to no longer be held hostage by geography is not to use explosives to dig new routes. The solution is to accelerate, once and for all, the abandonment of oil, so as to never again have to fight over a small piece of sea. The crazy megaproject to bypass the Strait of Hormuz is just one piece of the massive and terrifying geopolitical puzzle that is setting the Middle East on fire. If you really want to understand how today's war is fought, on my channel you'll find other in-depth investigations, all accompanied by our 3D animations. If you're wondering how we got to this point of no return, you absolutely must watch the tactical reconstruction of the secret mission that led to the elimination of Ali Khamenei, a surgical operation that rewrote the history of the region. If instead you are fascinated by military engineering, I have two pieces of content that will leave you speechless. On the one hand, the incredible story of asymmetric warfare. Go and discover how simple $20,000 Iranian drones are holding multi-billion-dollar fleets in check and strangling the Western economy. On the other hand, for those who love pure technological supremacy, a detailed documentary awaits you on the secrets of the American B-2 Spirit, the stealth bomber, the most feared and lethal aircraft ever built by man.